All right, what's going on, everybody? It is week 11, right? I did actually get that right. I had to double check. Week
It is
11, we've
week
got
11.
2 weeks left of recruiting and then
Yep,
signing day.
the week 12 and then National Signing Day.
Oh,
So
geez. So, really, only 1 week left. All right, 1 week left of recruiting before National Signing Day. We have yet to figure out how we're going to do National Signing Day because I will not be here doing 100 plus recruits in one night. So we'll figure out how we're going to do that exactly. A couple things we want to talk about before we jump into the recruiting. You want to, hey, it's a rare appearance we
We
get.
have a national
The
champion.
national champion in the
and
chat.
of course
so,
he's here.
yeah. Now to rub it in.
Yeah, a couple things. Housekeeping notes. This week you can convert NIL. Again, that's due Friday at 11:59. You cannot spend the NIL you're recruiting or transferring into Hype. You can't spend that as Hype yet. You have to wait for National Signing Day. The other thing, those are already posted. You do also have 5 free visits this week. Use them or lose them. They are unofficial, but it's a nice little boost to 1, help you get the guys you want, and 2, get them closer to committing so National Signing Day does not absolutely kill Matt.
He said he won't do 100, so we'll do 98 and we'll be happy.
98.
Hey, look,
that's the goal.
Now that I know that you guys will do the show without me, I will happily set it up, and you guys can knock yourselves out.
We just need Austin.
Yeah, Austin will be fine. He stays up late.
He won a recruit with it and everything. So I think those were the big notes. If there's any issues with the leaderboard and stuff, just tag Nate because he deals with that. Us 3 don't know how to fix it or how to do it.
Just so you guys know, he also may not get back to you quickly as he's in the middle of dealing with finals. So if you guys tag him like 30 times, don't expect a quick response. Maybe let's just tag him once and he'll get back to you guys as soon as he can, I promise.
To answer your questions, Mike, NIL is through
Super Bowl
NFL season. Hype will end once the recruiting cycle is over, I believe.
Yes.
Carl can confirm that, but that's my...
Yep. Hype ends with recruiting, but NIL will still get earned. When your player signs a new contract in the offseason, if he signs a new contract, that does earn you NIL.
Also goes to any Super Bowls, award winners, like everything. It comes off, so obviously...
There should be a lot of NIL flowing this offseason.
Whoever MVPs, if you have a player, I'll just use the Chiefs. If the Chiefs make the Super Bowl, anybody who has Patrick Mahomes on their roster, you get NIL because he made the Super Bowl. So,
and then if he wins the Super Bowl, you get even more NIL.
Yeah. Speaking of Super Bowl, our NFL playoffs kicked off this week. I know I have access to conferences 2 through 4. I'm not going to Sleeper, so I'm going to have to trust one of you guys to bring that up for me. But I can tell you guys about Conference 1 because I love MFL. So the seeds were PJ and Stanford finishes the 1 seed. Ohio State finishes as the 2 seed. The Oklahoma Sooners and Ray finish as the 3 seed. I believe it is Tulane. Finished, yes, Tulane, new head coach. Don't remember who that is. Steve, congratulations, Steve. You finished in 4th. USF finishes in 5th, and Nebraska finishes in 6th. The playoffs have been set up, and so in the first round, we get 3 seed Oklahoma versus 6 seed Nebraska. Should be a very intriguing matchup since both those teams are actually 2 of the 3 highest scores in the actual NC1, even though neither one has a bye. And then the 4 and 5 seed USF and Tulane, 2 of the new coaches in C1, battling out to get a chance to play in the next round for the Super Bowl. So that's C1.
Conference 2, Georgia leapfrogged Florida for the 2 seed and the bye in the first round. Everything else stayed copacetic. USC won, and they were in. So we have UCLA, college national champion Jared, on a bye, as well as Georgia. And then we have Miami versus Washington and USC versus the 3 seed Florida. In Conference 3,
I got that one.
Michigan just had to win, so perfect. I'll pop to 4 while you talk about 3.
Yep. The 1 seed is the Fighting Justin Jeffersons and Sal. Congratulations. Texas Tech is somehow a better professional program than college program. So we have the 2 seed. Georgia Tech, the 3 seed, finishing also at 11-3, but not high enough in the points. Oregon is the 4 seed. Vanderbilt is the 5. Michigan is, as you said, the 6. So Michigan will be facing Georgia Tech. Vanderbilt and Oregon will be playing, and UCSB and Texas Tech get the bye weeks.
In Conference 4, Ole Miss, the guy who struggles with making tiers himself but sits atop the recruiting tier, is in first, followed by Notre Dame, both 11-3. Then we have Maryland, Auburn, Kansas, and UCI, who lost their way into a playoff spot. So kicking off week 1, we have Kansas facing off against, these names make no sense, Auburn, and we have UCI facing off against Maryland. Conference 5, you have no playoffs, you have no teams.
But maybe
some
next
of
year.
them watching next year.
Jared, I would love nothing more than get to battle against you for a 3rd straight year for the Super Bowl. Would love nothing more. We'll see, though.
Yeah.
C1's pretty tough.
I think C3 has a real chance.
I do too. I know
highest score in all of.
Behind the scenes, we talked about this 2 weeks ago, and I believe C3 had the highest scoring team out of everybody. So
and they're the 4 seed.
Yeah,
and they have the most NIL out of anybody. Yeah. So just go look, and you can figure out. Oh, there's one team over 200. Well, pretty easy to figure out who they are.
Yeah. It is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm not even the highest scoring team in my conference. I am the 3rd highest scoring team. Both Ray and Nebraska have outscored me. So I'm looking forward to it. Unfortunately, get to play one of them next week. So.
C5 is just really hoping that without players, they do have teams. That is fair, but teamless or playerless teams are going to have a tough time contending for a Super Bowl this year.
Look, guys, there's always next year. I'm sure one of you will be in it next year. We'll see what happens. All right.
One of you has to be in it.
That's debatable. All right, let's jump in here to recruiting, and I already forgot which conference we're starting with.
This is Conference 3, so bam, right off the bat, steal attempt. Noah Rogers, LSU coming, swooping in for the steal. Currently committed to Mississippi State.
And LSU gets a steal. So that's a great way to start the show.
Successful. All right, next we have some solo commits. Let me just.
He'll probably complain about that though, because the flip didn't happen quick enough. Because I know Colin, my good friend Colin, loves to complain about recruiting.
Colin cannot.
Yes, Colin would never complain. We have a solo commit, Malachi Coleman, going to Mississippi State. So he makes up for it and gets Malachi Coleman, who may not play offense. He also gets Shamar Easter going to Mississippi State. And now we have Michael Harrison Pilot, or McCall, deciding between Mississippi State and Georgia Tech.
And I believe deciding between offense and defense.
And Mississippi State. So you may have lost out on Rogers, but at least you get a pilot.
You got 3 in a row. All right, next up, Adam Hopkins, wide receiver out of Georgia, deciding between Virginia Tech and Texas Tech. Virginia Tech with a sizable lead.
Massive lead.
It doesn't matter.
This is not looking promising.
Next, we have Andrew Rapalaya. First 5-teamer we've had in quite a while. We have UCSB, LSU, Texas Tech, Wisconsin, and Oregon.
What was
Looks like all these teams started to come in on Rapala.
Texas,
Wisconsin.
Fighting W's?
Yeah.
It was the
ugly team who's going to start air raiding.
Well, it's going to come down to either the Fighting W's or Texas Tech. So which one should I click here, head coach of Texas Tech? I'll let you decide.
We'll go with one so Wisconsin can get him.
Hey! All right. Texas Tech having himself a little bit of a night all of a sudden.
There we go.
And there's a chance.
It only took until the end of the season.
Yep.
Next up, we have Mark Fletcher, decommit from Ohio State, deciding between Wisconsin and UCF. I don't know if he has decided where he's going to go.
You definitely haven't, Colin. I love you. You're an amazing coach. Congratulations,
I definitely haven't blocked
Noah
you
Rogers
from reaching any of my DMs.
All right, Mark Fletcher, Fighting W's or UCF and UCF. Wisconsin's not having a good night tonight.
All right, next up, Caden Lee deciding between Texas Tech and the Tigers.
All right, so both these teams have had a lot of luck tonight. Let's see who's it keeps going. And LSU. Sorry, Tristan.
All right,
I don't
next
think
up,
I've
we have a
won a
solo
single
commit,
recruit
Kyron
against
Jones
Colin.
going to UCSB. Then we have new player 2 committing to Vanderbilt. And we have new player 4 committing to LSU. Congratulations, coaches, on your new players. Those
It
will be
was,
revealed
when you
on
create a
National
player
Signing Day.
and forget to name them. That's what happened.
That's exactly what happened. All right. Now I have to go back over this way. C1. Surprise, C1. No steals. All right. So we're starting with Jelani Thurman. Deciding between Kennesaw and Nebraska.
Kennesaw.
He is going to Kennesaw. All right. Next up, Braylon James. Deciding between Usage and Texas A&M. Let's see if he likes the move to NC State or not. He does.
UCSD. Let's hope the chalk continues to hold, please.
Well, this next one is chalk. Texas A&M gets Caleb Jackson on a solo commit. All right. Ty Lockwood, tight end out of Tennessee, deciding between Oklahoma and Tulane. Soon to be the Gamecocks.
Here we go. Tulane gets the upset.
All right. Lawson Lucky. We'll see if Nebraska or Texas is lucky. He is a tight end out of Georgia.
Texas it is. You got
Texas pulls the upset.
Right.
Next up, Jonah Wilson is headed to the University of South Florida on a solo commit. And he did revoke a scholarship. When you revoke a scholarship, you can no longer go after that player, will no longer consider your team. So just know the consequences. So he does still have a spot open for Marcel Reed. Cooper Flanagan, tight end out of California, Tulane, and Nebraska. We got a lot of Braskies. Lots of corn husking happening.
Nebraska, a lot of upsets all of a sudden in C1.
All right. Next up, Braden Dorman, some QB out of Colorado, deciding between Tulane, Ohio State, and Penn State.
Not some QB.
You want chalk? You want chalk on this one?
I do not. I want chalk on the next one. I'll take Braden Dorman. I like him, but I would rather have chalk on the next one.
All right. Well, the next
It's
one
a massive lead, and it's going to be upset.
Camarian Cook deciding between Ohio State and
How dare
Pittsburgh.
You, sir? Cameron Cook. Come on now. Get the name right.
I think I would know how to pronounce my 14th cousin's name, and it's Camarian.
Ridiculous, because Austin doesn't even like this kid because he says he's undersized. And this is fucking.
Hey!
Excuse my language.
Congrats, Austin. Thank you for hosting the show last week. This is your reward. It wasn't the little guy last week. All right, Marcel Reed deciding between South Florida and Stanford. He is going to Stanford, so USF still has a spot open. Chris Parson also going to Stanford on a solo commit. Next up, Lincoln Kineholes deciding between Stanford and UCSD. And he is going to Stanford. Then we have Derek Rogers going to Kennesaw State and Trech Kekahuhuna going to Nebraska.
Thank you for pronouncing that one for me.
He's not out of Hawaii either. He is actually out of Nevada.
All right, I will go ahead and jump in on for C4. First up, we have Jaquez Petaway, wide receiver out of Texas, deciding between Auburn and Maryland. Will the upsets continue? Yes, they will.
Congratulations, Maryland.
Put that
Fond
in
memories
your recruiting tiers. Boom, roasted. Next up, DeAndre Moore Jr., wide receiver out of Cal, deciding between Maryland and UC Irvine. And another upset.
That's impressive.
Just upset city. Adam Hop. Before we did that, we had Jaden.
No, we're good. It'll be the next one.
Field attempt that was unsuccessful is what I was going to say.
Oh,
right?
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Adam Hopkins is up next. Wide receiver out of Georgia, deciding between Notre Dame and Maryland. Can we go 3 for 3 on the upsets? Yep. Yes, we can. Then we have Andrew Raplia, a tight end, deciding between Alabama, Clemson, and UC Irvine. So it should be a UC Irvine commit. Yup. Next up, we have Dante Dowdle steal attempt by Ole Miss, trying to come take him from Wazoo. Can Wazoo lose players in back-to-back weeks?
Jaden Greathouse was the failed steal attempt.
And yes, Ole Miss is successful. Congratulations. Put that in your recruiting tier. Moving on. Dylan Smothers, a running back out of North Carolina, deciding between that school in Texas and Ole Miss. I'm definitely pulling for Ole Miss here.
I think everybody is. Can we re-roll that one, Matt?
Yeah, sorry. That one we're not going to allow. Then we have Brady. Oh, we have three solo commits first. Sorry. Anthony Evans, a wide receiver out of Texas, solo committing to Notre Dame. Gabari Johnson, a quarterback out of Washington, staying home at Washington State. And LJ Martin, a running back out of Texas, couldn't get into any other Texas school, so we went to Baylor. Now we have Brady Drogosh, a quarterback out of Michigan, deciding between Alabama, Clemson, and Notre Dame.
Really is coming on the scene hot for a QB prospect.
And the third team won again. We have a steal back attempt here. Nathan Leacock is trying to be stolen by Wazoo after having him stolen last week. But not so fast. Next up, we have Jordan Louis, a running back out of Georgia, deciding between Florida State and Mr. Steal Your Recruit, TCU. That is probably the first favorite that is won. And
congrats, Florida State.
Yeah, our final C4 recruit is Aiden Childs, a quarterback out of California, deciding between Ole Miss, Maryland, and TCU.
Money's on TCU for this one, based on tonight. Oh, wow. Don't let me choose any.
Yeah, Ole Miss favorite wins again. Moving on to C2. First up, we have Nicholas Harbor, a steal attempt by UCLA on Miami.
Nice of him to check in with Dwight and see if he locked him or not.
Super gentlemanly, and to let him know he was going to be taking his player. Harbor decided he wanted to play defense for UCLA instead of Miami. Next up, Ashton Cozart, a wide receiver out of Texas, deciding between Florida, Rice, Cal, and Washington. Cal it is. It's a pretty sizable upset there.
Now it's chalk. It's chalk.
Then we have Kenyon Sadiq, a athlete out of Idaho, deciding between USC and Michigan State. There it is.
Wow.
Chalky chalk.
That one.
Trey Hawley is up next, a running back out of Louisiana, deciding between Florida and North Carolina. Ooh, there's another upset. Right after you needed one, Carl. Next up, we have a solo commit. Javonte Vereen is a tight end out of North Carolina going across the country to UCLA. And then we have Camarion Cook, that aforementioned running back out of Texas, deciding between Cal and Michigan State. And the favorites are back.
Yeah, of course. Now the 7,000 point favorite effing wins it.
We do have
for a second. I looked at that and I thought it said Carl. I was like, let's go.
We do have a bunch of solo commits in C2. Gabari Johnson is committing to Florida. Amari Borden is committing to UCLA with Cedric Irvin Jr. Darren Lawrence, a wide receiver, is going to stay in Florida and go to Miami. Junior Sherrill is going to Rice. Arnold Barnes is going to USC, and Jacob Dixon is the most recent commit going to UTSA.
And that is 15 for UTSA.
The Fighting UTSAs, as they call themselves.
All right. Do we have any questions? We know that we get 5 free visits this week that you need to submit by Friday at 11:59. If you're odd, you send them to me. If you're even, you send them to Tristan. Let's
And
see.
if you don't send them, you don't
NIL this week. If you would like to, you do not have to. But if you would like to have some bonus hype to spend on National Signing Day, this would be the weekend to do it.
Correct. And you do not get to spend it this week if you convert it. It's for next week's spending. So if you want to make a purchase, you have to have the hype this week to make the purchase. But if you want to make purchases next week, like locking up your favorite recruits, you would want to convert it this week. Up until Friday at 11:59, you can convert NIL. After that, the conversion is
over.
Put
his next question up, Matt. Read the bylaws. No. It takes a week. Once you convert, you have the money the next week. The bank is closed over the weekend, so you don't get the money until after the show on Tuesday to spend. Think of it that way.
That is correct. Any other questions? Anybody else going to do a end of the year video?
It's a good chunk of hype. 35 hype. You can't really beat that. That is locking up a player you want or stealing someone that you wanted from somebody else. So think of it that way. Not too hard.
Are we done?
Carl. We're done.
Yeah, I think that's it. Get your points in.